Hi everyone, it's Angela with Strong Meridian, and today I'm asking you, what is in your prenatal? Are you taking the correct prenatal? Is it giving you enough of what you actually need, and is it in its proper form? These are all really important questions for you to ask if you're looking at a prenatal. So today I'm going to answer those questions, and then I'm actually going to compare and contrast 4 different top-selling prenatal vitamins. And then I'm going to give you my recommendations. So if you're thinking of conceiving or if you're pregnant now, stay tuned. This video's for you. Okay, these are the top 7 nutrients that should be in your prenatal. Now, your prenatal better have more than just these 7 nutrients in it. But these are the top ones that I am looking for when I'm looking at a prenatal vitamin. Let's start with folate. 2/3 of the population struggle to absorb folate and other B vitamins, to be very fair. What this means is you have to get a lot of extra folate from your diet to help kind of like push this pathway along and make the body absorb more. Or you need to take an active form of folate. Now that active form of folate is not folic acid. You want to actually avoid folic acid. 40 to 60% of you don't absorb that folic acid. And if you're not absorbing it, that's of one, no monetary value to you. You're wasting money. But then 2, you're not feeding the child the folate it needs or feeding the system the folate it needs to make this pathway in your body work. You need a lot of folate in your diet before you're starting to conceive to help prevent birth defects. The most common birth defect is spina bifida. But also, folate helps us keep our pregnancy. It is very common now to get tested for the MTHFR gene and to see if you have this genetic variant. Will you absorb folate? Will you absorb folic acid? Or do you need an active form of folate to make that pathway work, to decrease the likelihood of having any neural tube defects or losing the baby to a miscarriage? And while that test is very common for you to order through your doctor, if they haven't offered that for you already, if you can just look at your sisters, your mom, your aunts, if that's available to you, and ask them, did they ever have any miscarriages? Did they ever have, or is there anyone in your family that had a neural tube defect, like spina bifida? Those would all be indicators that this genetic variant runs in your family. So there could be a high indication that you're actually carrying the MTHFR gene in one of its varied forms and you struggle to absorb the folate. So you struggle to absorb folate, you don't want folic acid because that actually slows down that pathway even more. So what do? You actually just get that active form of folate. That's going to go by a few different names because this can't get any more confusing. So you might see on the label 5-MTHF. You might see methylfolate. That's probably the most common. You might see calcium folinate. You might also see L5-MTHF. So some variant of like that. But what you really don't want is that folic acid. So you want to avoid folic acid. You want to go for that active form of folate. And you don't have to take a lot. You don't have to go over 1,000 or 1,100 micrograms. You do also want to get plenty from your diet. But that's folate. Let's go on to the second one, iron. So of course, iron is really important in your pregnancy because you're building a whole new person inside of you. So you need a lot of blood to be built. Iron helps build blood. Iron helps carry oxygen around the body. The thing with iron supplementation is that it can be very constipating. And why is that? It can be the form of iron that the doctor prescribed for you. Doctors learn to prescribe 325 milligrams of ferrous sulfate. Now that's very commonly found on retail store shelves. That is not giving you 325 milligrams of iron. Thank goodness, that would be way too much iron. to take every day during your pregnancy. But it does give you actually about 65 milligrams of iron at one time. And that can be constipating for people. So what I do is I give that lower dose of iron, which is just 30 milligrams. And we do that once a day. Be sure to take that away from calcium because they compete with each other. So look at your multivitamin. Is there calcium in there with the iron? There probably is. And that's common and that's fine. But no, you may have to take extra iron and or extra calcium in a different supplement. I don't like to supplement a lot of minerals like calcium or magnesium. I like you to get as much of that from food as possible. We will supplement iron during pregnancy, but I like to go with plants. Plants can be less constipating, easier to take for some people. So you can do a plant-based iron supplement, or you can do an herbal-based, or you can do a regular iron supplement. I do one that's chelated. Chelated simply means it's attached to an amino acid for easier absorption. And we don't go over really 30 milligrams at any one sitting. So it's really more gentle on the system, not as constipating. Okay, on to nutrient number 3, calcium. Okay, so I told you to avoid iron supplementation with calcium. That's important because, again, they compete. So if it's in your supplement, you're going to absorb a little bit of both of those, and that's okay. Now, calcium is a very large molecule. So if there's more than maybe 200 milligrams in your prenatal, you're probably taking more than one prenatal a day, especially if they're balancing that with magnesium. And that's okay. I know taking one prenatal vitamin a day is convenient, but if you're really looking to get the more nutrients from your prenatal, because unfortunately we live in America and our food isn't as nutritious as it used to be, then you're looking at taking more than one supplement a day. Now calcium still comes in a good amount of food. You can do the dairy. I don't push a lot of dairy. I say some is okay if you tolerate it, but broccoli is a good source. Carrot juice is a good source. Tahini is a wonderful source. It's just from sesame seeds. It's just ground sesame seeds. Other nuts and seeds are good sources of most minerals. So if you have a salad once or twice a day with green leafy vegetables, some spinach, we're going to put some tahini on there. Maybe you're going to top it off with some beans, some white beans or some kidney beans. All of those will come with calcium and folate and really give you a good, wholesome meal full of nutrition that will just support your prenatal. Okay, on to vitamin D. So vitamin D, I like to see supplemented at about 5,000 IU per day. Now, why is that? Vitamin D is used to set the immune system, and it's also used with that calcium to help build bone. Vitamin D also helps improve the baby's birth weight, so we don't want to have a baby with a low birth weight. And vitamin D helps regulate that weight. Now, vitamin D doesn't come in a lot of foods. Some really good sources, the old-fashioned cod liver oil. Yes, you may be irking on that. No, I'm not going to take that. Well, God bless your mom, your grandma, maybe even your great-grandma, because they took cod liver oil almost every day. And that gave them a really good amount of omega-3 fatty acids, which are anti-inflammatory. But they took it straight. We don't have to do that anymore, thank goodness. Ours comes flavored. You can get it flavored in lemon, orange. I think I've even seen strawberry. So cod liver oil is a great whole food source of vitamin D. You can also get a little bit of vitamin D in darker meats, seafood, and liver. Liver is great for everything. You can eat a little bit of liver a few times a week. That's not overdoing it. Gives you a great source of a lot of vitamins, a lot of minerals, and iron. Okay, on to choline. So choline is this really great nutrient needed for brain development. It also helps develop the central nervous system, so the spine, and then it also makes up every single cell in our body. So every single cell has a little bit of choline in it. So that's pretty important. You're making a whole person in there, and you're going to need your choline, especially if you want a nice smart baby. I like to see supplements with 450 milligrams of choline, or about that. Doesn't have to be that exactly. Now, this is starred here because as important as choline is, there's not a daily recommended value for choline, pregnant or non-pregnant. But I do believe it is important, so I want to see it in the prenatal. Food sources of choline. This is easy. Eggs. Eggs are a great source of choline. So if your prenatal doesn't have choline, be sure you're eating a good amount of eggs. And yes, liver again. Liver is a good source of choline, but so is chicken, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, quinoa. So really good sources. And again, a little bit every day, you're building that baby. Okay, let's talk iodine. Iodine is needed for thyroid health. Really, that's mainly what it's used for as you're pregnant. But if you, the mom, are low in iodine when you're pregnant, you can have an infant with lower brain development. So yeah, not as smart. The cognition really struggles, the focus struggles. And studies have shown that again and again. So we want to make sure you're getting a good amount of iodine. So I hope that there's some iodine in your supplement. Now, if you live in the area I live, which is in the Midwest, you live in the Goiter Belt, which means there's no iodine really in our soil. So as much as I like to buy local and promote buying and growing local, that wouldn't be good here. You want to have other food sources from different regions. The best way to get iodine is in food and not just supplements. You can get iodine from seafood. You can get iodine from seaweed. So while doctors don't want you eating sushi, you can eat seaweed. I like to make miso soup, and that's one of my recommendations for any of my pregnant moms or anyone who's struggling with hypothyroidism. Make a pot of miso soup every week. Have a cup every now and then. That'll give you iodine. Iodine is also available through eggs. So look, 2 birds with 1 stone. You're eating some eggs, you're getting some iodine and some choline. And a good source of protein. You can also get iodine from legumes, so kidney beans, black-eyed peas, really good sources. And yes, iodized table salt. While not something I would really recommend, it is a source of iodine. Okay, now on to the last one, DHA. Love DHA in pregnancy. This is all brain development, baby. DHA is an essential fatty acid, which means you have to get it from your diet. Your body doesn't make it. It's essential during preconception, all the way during pregnancy, and studies have shown it's even important for after pregnancy. It helps the development of the fetal nervous system. So all of our nerves, our brain, and studies show positive effects with cognition, focus, memory, vision, starting at that 400 milligram dose. Now you can take a little more, or maybe you're getting extra from your food because you eat fish 2-3 times a week. That's great. Supplementing with DHA at 400 milligrams or more during pregnancy also has benefits for you, mom. It helps increase your vagal tone. So your vagal tone is your vagus nerve. So it helps support and strengthens that vagus nerve. And in pregnancy, that's important because that can help support your cardiovascular system. That means it can help reduce the risk of hypertension, high blood pressure, which is preeclampsia. So it helps you have a safer, longer-term pregnancy. DHA is also anti-inflammatory. And then moms who supplemented with DHA throughout their pregnancy, studies followed their children to the ages of 5 or 6, and those kids had better language skills and better short-term memory. That's like you can tell the kid to do something and he remembers what you said. Maybe he didn't do it, but he remembers. So they can take this list of things, they have a good memory, they can follow a recipe, they can take the list to the grocery store. All of these things are really important as the child ages. And that is something that you can help them with while you're pregnant. Now, let's look at the top selling prenatal vitamins in America. Okay, so the prenatal vitamins I'm going to review for you today. How did I come up with this list? Well, I did look at Women's Health. I checked out babylist.com. I went to whattoexpect.com. And then I looked at US News and I compared and I found a lot of similarities between them. So I grabbed 4. So these are the top 4 retail brand selling prenatal supplements. They're from Nature Made, One A Day, Nature's Bounty, and Vita Fusion. So these are very common. You should be able to find these at any local pharmacist, which is wonderful. That means they're easy to grab. So let's start comparing and see what they have to offer you. Let's start with Nature Made. Prenatal has folic acid plus DHA, so I'm going to like that. And I've highlighted a couple things here for you. And, I'm also going to look at vitamin B1. That's the thiamine. When you're pregnant, you can have blood sugar control issues. I like to look at nutrients that are important for blood sugar management, and that is thiamine, vitamin B1, magnesium. Then I really like to see some chromium and maybe some vanadium. Those are just very important nutrients to make managing the blood sugar easier during pregnancy. So this is a one a day, 1 soft gel serving. It gives 1.4 milligrams of vitamin B1. That's the thiamine. So it gives it. And maybe you don't know, the RDAs, there's a lot of science behind them, but there's a lot more politics behind them. The RDAs help you prevent a deficiency. That doesn't mean they're going to keep you optimally well. So keep that in mind. Okay, I'm going to look right at the folate, and it gives 800 milligrams of folic acid. So knowing what I know about folic acid and that it really jams up that pathway if you have the MTHF variant, I'm not going to want you to have folic acid. It's not the active form that you need. And then it gives you cyanocobalamin B12. That's also inactive. And women can have some digestive issues, so they may have a harder time breaking this down and absorbing it. But I find that this is just kind of a cheaper form of B12. And I don't like to see that. I like to see the active form because you can have variants in that pathway as well. Okay, it gives you calcium carbonate, 150 milligrams of that, and it does then balance that out a little bit with some magnesium. So that's good. I don't expect a lot of magnesium in a 1 a day. I don't expect a lot of minerals in a 1 soft gel a day, but it's good that it gives a little bit. And remember, calcium's a big molecule, so it's going to take up some space in a 1 a day. It gives you 27 milligrams of iron, so that's good. Now remember, you may not absorb all of that, but that's good that they give that. It gives you 52% of your RDA for iodine, and then the magnesium and the zinc. Now they give oxides, and oxide is a little bit harder. It's not as bioavailable. They just don't absorb well. Like the calcium carbonate, that absorbs very well into the body, but not necessarily the oxide. And then if I look at the omegas, so it gives you 200 milligrams of DHA and 60 milligrams of EPA. And again, the studies where you're actually seeing this good health benefit for the infant, they start at 400 milligrams a day. So you'd have to take 2 of these, which, I think is fine if you did that, except it has the folic acid and the cyanocobalamin. So I don't love it. It is no synthetic dyes. Thank you. Plenty of their other vitamins do have synthetic dyes in them, and it's gluten-free, so that's good. I do like that it's a soft gel because that can be easier to swallow. If I look at the other ingredients, glycerin is in there probably for the soft gel cap. Not terrible. Not terrible, but not great. Okay, moving on to the women's 1-a-day prenatal 1 complete multivitamin. These are very similar. This gives, I think, 800 micrograms of folic acid. So, again, what I said about that is you need that early on in pregnancy, but not the folic acid form. You really want 100% folate from food, or you're going to want that active folate, which is going to be the 5-MTHF or the methylfolate on your supplement. We don't know anything else about these vitamins, so we really have to go on to the next page for that. Like, we don't know if the minerals are very absorbable or not. If we look at the fatty acids, again, 200 milligrams of DHA. So again, in one multivitamin, they're not giving the DHA that is in the studies. To be fair, both of these giving the 200 milligrams of DHA, there is no daily recommended dose, but they're giving you some. For me, it's just not an adequate amount. So you have to look further on the nutrients, and we see in the ingredients that cyanocobalamin, which we don't absorb, folic acid, which I don't recommend, and then magnesium oxide, which is harder to absorb. I did highlight the glycerin. That could just be part of the capsule, holding that together. I don't love to see it, but if it's actually part of holding the soft gel together, then I understand there. It does contain soy, so that could be an allergen for some people. So yeah, look at those ingredients. Here are these two compared to each other. So we have the 1-a-day here on the right, and again, they're both going to offer 800 micrograms of the folic acid. They both have cyanocobalamin and 200 milligrams of the DHA. Let's compare their vitamin B1. Vitamin B1 is the same. And what I don't see is chromium or vanadium to help with blood sugar control. So I'm not overly impressed. Okay, let's look at Nature's Bounty and see what they offer you. This is also a soft gel, a 1-a-day. Again, very convenient for a lot of people. It gives vitamin A as beta carotene, so 100% beta carotene, and that's good. That means it's basically as close as you can get to being vitamin A from a plant, not a supplement. And the vitamin A becomes active in your body when it's combined with zinc, and this gives zinc oxide, 25 milligrams. Zinc oxide, because it's oxide, is harder to absorb. Vitamin B1, again, blood sugar, gives a little bit more of that here, so that's good. Again, 800 micrograms of folate, and the B12 is cyanocobalamin. So this you're wasting your money. Not just with this brand, but any multivitamin or prenatal that has folic acid and cyanocobalamin, they're not doing you justice. Yes, they could be the exact same thing that your mom took when she was pregnant with you, but the science is showing us we need to do better. And we can do better. There's plenty of choices out there doing better. It gives you 28 milligrams of iron with 175 milligrams of calcium. So just be aware, you're not absorbing 100% of both of those, but they're there and you're absorbing some, so that's good. This also gives 200 milligrams of the DHA. Unfortunately, if you look at the bottom out there under other ingredients, we have caramel color. So we don't need to see that. in a prenatal. That's something extremely artificial that really doesn't need to be there. We don't need coloring in our multivitamins, and we definitely don't need coloring in our prenatal vitamins. Okay, on to VitaFusion. So this is a gummy. There's 2 gummies per serving, and in 2 gummies, you get a total of 4 grams of sugar. That's a teaspoon of sugar. If you are struggling with your blood sugar, then that could be something that's putting your blood sugar over the edge. Also, because this is a gummy and it's only doing like the serving sizes 2, you're not getting very many nutrients in this gummy at all. So your diet really needs to be stellar to make up for it. This gives the least amount of folate and folic acid amongst all of the vitamins. And yes, it gives you folic acid. It also gives you the least amount of vitamin B12. And yeah, it's cyanocobalamin. And it definitely gives you the least amount of DHA. Now, the scary thing is that this is on the top selling retail list of many of those sites that I was on. And, other healthcare practitioners are recommending these. There are pharmacists recommending these. And I just question that. This is definitely not one that I would recommend at all. One, because it's a gummy. If you have a swallowing issue, then take a liquid multivitamin and a liquid prenatal. Definitely not one that's based in sugar, because you can see, well, one, it's a gummy, so your flag should be going up. But if you look at the other ingredients, you can see the very first ingredient is glucose syrup and then sugar. So we have sugar and sugar. There are companies out there that make gummies without sugar, and that would be optimal as well. I would also like to see more nutrients. We don't have any minerals in here. That's going to have you taking extra capsules. Okay, we'll do a quick comparison, and then we'll get on to what I recommend. So we have the Nature's Bounty. It's a 1 soft gel. It has the caramel color, which I'm very much against. The 2-a-day gummy, it has a lot of sugar, no minerals. Well, okay, it has zinc. Has some zinc in there, but nothing else. So, and very little of any other nutrient. So I'm not happy with that offering. Compared to Nature's Bounty, I would get the Nature's Bounty over the gummy version any day. But again, Nature's Bounty has the folic acid that I don't want to see, and the cyanocobalamin and the caramel color, and neither of them are giving DHA at the amount of the scientific studies are showing. So maybe one of these are your prenatal. What are you going to do about it? What do you look for? What should be in a good prenatal? And that's what a good dietitian is for. So let's just check out the 2 that I frequently recommend to people. So here they are. They're the Prenatal Complete with DHA by Orthomolecular and Seeking Health Optimal Prenatal. Let's take a peek at these and see why I recommend them. Okay, so first we're going to look at the Orthomolecular Prenatal, and these are the ingredients. Let's just go right to vitamin B1. So remember, thiamine for blood sugar gives you 5 milligrams. That's fabulous. I want to see that. Now let me just jump around a little bit. I'm going to look at all the blood sugar nutrients. It gives chromium and magnesium as well as vitamin B1. You're going to be able to have much better blood sugar management with those nutrients on board. The folate. How do you know you have an active folate? So you can look at these words, these long words. Methyl tetrahydrofolic acid, glucosamine salt. The word salt doesn't mean salt, it actually just means a chemical structure. So that's an active form of folate, and that's what you want. The B12 is methylated. It's methylcobalamin. That's what you want. Something active. It gives an equal amount of calcium and magnesium with 30 milligrams of iron. And the thing with Orthomolecular is all of their minerals are albion chelated minerals, or they've received other trademarks, other patents on their form of the mineral, and that means they're really good at being absorbed into the body. So there's not that waste going on. Easily absorbed. Gives you 2,000 units of vitamin D, which is great. It's not 5,000. You may need to take a little bit extra vitamin D, but this is the highest vitamin D yet, so that's great. And remember, that's important for brain development. This also gives choline. This is the first multivitamin with choline in it for brain development. So you don't have to take extra. Or if you're allergic to eggs, or if you're a vegan, here's a good source of choline without having to eat those eggs. DHA, 580 milligrams of DHA. That's where I like to see it. That's within the study range. Again, it's not required to be in a prenatal, so having a little bit is fine, but why don't you put the amount in there that's really going to be making a difference? That's why I like to suggest this one. Now, this is not a one-a-day prenatal. This is a packet. You get 3 capsules and 1 soft gel. And that soft gel is going to be that DHA, that essential fatty acid that you need. You can take this throughout the day, or you can take it all at once. Okay, finally we have the last one. This is Seeking Health. I love this brand. Now this is a little bit more difficult to see, so I really blew it up for you. Okay, I did the best I could. This is a serving size of 8 capsules a day. That is a lot. I understand. Let's go through this so you understand why it's an 8 a day. It does give you 4,000 IU of vitamin D. And I would be happy with that, which means you don't have to supplement with extra vitamin D. Calcium is 400 milligrams, while the magnesium is 250 milligrams. I'm also happy with that. I don't think we need to supplement anything extra. We should be able to get all the rest from food quite easily, as long as you're having a good whole food plant-based diet. And plant-based does not mean meat-free, just a lot of plants and some meat. Thiamine. Thiamine is vitamin B1. It gives you 5 milligrams, just like orthomolecular did. I love it. Very good for blood sugar. I'm going to look at chromium. They give you chromium for blood sugar as well. So it gives you the exact same thing that orthomolecular did with the vitamin B1, the chromium, and magnesium. So you should have very good blood sugar control with this, as long as you still have a very good diet. It gives you active folate, 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate. And that's as a glucosamine salt with calcium folinate. So those are those active forms that are going to be great for absorption. Everybody's going to absorb that. Vitamin B12 is methylcobalamin and then adenosylcobalamin. Very active forms as well without giving you too much methyl. So if you're a little bit more sensitive to the methyl, you should be good with those. I really love this multivitamin for my pregnant ladies. Iodine, 250 micrograms, very good. That's going to help feed that thyroid. That's going to help encourage good brain development. Then let's go on to some of these other things, like why do I take 8 a day? So one, the 8 a day, they do put a good amount of calcium and magnesium in here. Again, those are large molecules, so they're going to take up space. But they go above and beyond. They want mom to feel comfortable during pregnancy, so we give you a little bit of ginger, and ginger can help with nausea. Gives you a little bit of milk thistle. That can help the liver and the gallbladder, so again, digestion. They give you some taurine in here, and taurine is also for digestion. It can help the gallbladder make bile. And you know, when you're pregnant, sometimes things just sit wrong, and the body will struggle to do some of the stuff it needs. So it's just nourishing those pathways in the body. And if I go up a little bit, I skipped over the betaine hydrochloride. So that's right here, betaine hydrochloride. That's stomach acid, yeah, right here. And I like to see that in this multivitamin. It's just a little bit amount, so it shouldn't upset anybody's tummy. But it's also going to help with that mineral absorption because it lowers that stomach pH. And then it helps with the eyesight, the lutein and the zeastaxanthin. I love it. And there's boron in here too. Now boron turns on that whole calcium, vitamin D pathway to make sure that the calcium and magnesium get into the bones. So this is why I love it. No gluten, nothing artificial, no artificial food dyes, anything like that. So I don't really get that excited about supplements anymore, but those are the two prenatal supplements I do get excited about. Now, which one is best for you? That's where testing can come in. Or you look, do I want to take 8 a day or do I want to take 4? Because the orthomolecular was the 3 capsules and 1 soft gel. There can be that. And if you choose the Seeking Health prenatal, don't take 8 all at once. Break them up throughout the day. 2 here, 3 here. That'll get you through. I love these, and you can see why. They give a good amount of DHA. They give supporting nutrients for blood sugar, and they don't give folic acid. They give active form of folate so everyone can absorb it. So thanks for watching today. I hope I answered some questions. I hope I helped you find a better prenatal, and may you have a safe, healthy pregnancy. We'll see you next time.